Hey folks, welcome back to the Contrarians. This is our other series where we normally in the original series we discuss, one of us is in the hot seat and we talk about which album from a band is their greatest album. Usually the one in the hot seat goes against general consensus. On this episode, we're doing the contrarian thing by agreeing and picking together with both of our brains the worst album from a certain band. Obviously, you can see we're doing an episode today on Kiss. We've actually already done Kiss on the regular Contrarian, so if you haven't checked that one out, go and check it out. The link is going to pop up right here, and you're going to see what we thought about what their greatest album was. Today, we're going to do a little bit different and talk about what their worst album is. So I'm going to hand it over to Martin. He's going to give us a bit of a history of the band, and then we're going to talk about the albums that are up for contention. We're going to pick one, we're going to rate it, and then we're going to go home. So take it away, Martin.
Absolutely. So yes, Kiss, you might have heard of them. Pretty big band. I'm wearing my vintage Kiss shirt here. So yeah, this is a band that started New York City. They're coming out of that, a little bit of the New York Dolls situation, a little bit of, Velvet Underground and all that, the glam era that's happening over in England. So they devised this idea of to make the most amazing stage show, and they've got all this leather and smoke and face paint. So it's kind of a new thing, and everybody starts talking about the band pretty much immediately. But they put out 3 albums and they don't do that great. They're still kind of an underground situation. We get to 1975, they put out a double live album called Alive, and they're now the biggest thing ever. So me as a kid, I joined the Kiss Army off of I think it was off of Destroyer from 1976. So essentially from late 75 through to about 1979, they were a huge band. Everybody was talking about them. It's funny, you look at their record sales aren't massive, but everybody knows Kiss. They were super famous. They sold a lot of tickets throughout all that time. So this was their golden era, with the likes of Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun and Kiss Alive 2. And they famously did these four solo albums all at the same time. Then they kind of went through a poppy period, and then they came back heavy again with Creatures of the Night. And then, one of the cool things about Kiss is that they had this massive, or big enough, second wind with the likes of Lick It Up and Animalize and Asylum and Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade. So they participated nicely in that whole hair metal era, and then Strength to Strength. They got Revenge, and they got Carnival of Souls. They've got Psycho Circus, and then eventually, a few lineup changes, but not a lot. We've got the core guys, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley throughout. Eric Singer's been their drummer for a long time. Tommy Thayer has been playing the quote unquote Ace Frehley character or whatever, but they came back late strong with a couple of really good, solid, heavy, retro feeling, substantial albums in Sonic Boom and Monster. So they've had this long career where they've never really gone away. They've always persisted. They've always put on the big show. And most of the time, most Kiss fans can find just lots of good things to say about this band across all the different eras. They had lots and lots of eras, and they've just essentially persevered through those first few albums. Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, Dress to Kill, became big, and just never really went away at that point. So yeah, we know them, we love them. They're part of the pop culture fabric of the world, and that's Kiss in a nutshell for you.
Thanks, Martin. We're gonna take a look at we're gonna discuss some of the albums that are up for contention for worst album. So I think probably if you look at the history of the band and the discography, and you talk about what are Kiss's worst albums, I think right away some people will look at maybe the solo albums, and they'll look at Peter Criss's solo album. I don't think that that's fair, just because that really wasn't a band effort. That was really like a solo album done by Peter. The only part of that was a band effort was the promotion of it and the distribution of it, and that was really like Kiss is selling these 4 things, but it really was a Peter Criss solo album. So I don't really consider that as part of, I think it's kind of part of the discography, but I don't consider that in this discussion. Then you had Dynasty with the disco hit, but I think a lot of hardcore fans really like Dynasty because there's some good Ace tunes on it and some good Paul tunes on it. Unmasked is up there, The Elder is up there, Hot in the Shade is up there, right? With those ones, I find The Elder, I know some hardcore fans would be really appalled if we pick The Elder as their worst album, because that gets a lot of love from a lot of hardcore Kiss fans, and I can see why. You know, it's definitely different. It's a concept album. I think it's okay. Like, there's a couple of things I like about it, and there's a couple of things that are kind of cheesy about it, but I wouldn't pick that as the worst because I know there's some people that really love it. Unmasked, to me, is kind of like a guilty pleasure album. I kind of like a lot of the songs on that, you know, even though it's kind of cheesy and poppy, but I like, I think, almost every song off of that one. Ace has like 3 songs on that. Paul has some good songs on that. So Unmasked is kind of like, it's the guilty pleasure kind of hit. There's some hidden gems on it. Same with Hot in the Shade. I think there's some gems on Hot in the Shade, and that was a big turning point for them, heading back in the direction of rock. Afterwards, they did Revenge, which was a lot even heavier than Hot in the Shade. So I think people kind of admire that for certain reasons as well. There's a couple of hidden gems on that one, like Love You to Hate Me is a good one. And then they had the hit Forever on that one. And people kind of slag the album cover of Hot in the Shade. I actually kind of like it, with the pharaoh with the sunglasses, and they had the big stage set with the pharaoh and the sunglasses. And so really, when we talk about the Kiss's worst album, for me, the one that pops in my head immediately is Psycho Circus, for a few different reasons. This was kind of, you know, this was when they had gotten back together in like 96. You know, they had this massive reunion tour, and on the back of that, they toured with that for a couple of years, and on the back of that, I guess they decided to put out an album and keep this reunion thing going. They had recorded Carnival of Souls before the reunion, but because of the reunion, they kind of shelved that album, and then they released it, but with like not really any promotion, and it just kind of flew under the radar. That's another one hardcore Kiss fans really love as well, Carnival of Souls, and it's really, really heavy, and almost alternative in a way. But Psycho Circus for me, and I, in a personal manner, I was 10 years old when this album came out. I was a huge Kiss fan as a kid. My aunt got me into them even before I turned 10. Like, she gave me the Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park of VHS, which just blew me away as like a 5-year-old, right? So I was always a Kiss fan as a kid. This was the first album that I bought that was brand new, like in the stores. I got it for my birthday. I went to the Psycho Circus concert when I was 10 years old. I had the original poster. It was sealed for many years. I just got rid of it a couple of years ago, which is a shame, but I had an original Psycho Circus poster sealed. I had this album, like, it's the first one that I experienced as a brand new Kiss album. So for me, there's nothing more nostalgic than Psycho Circus for me. But, you know, and as a kid, I think I loved it as a kid, but, you know, as I grew older and really looking at the album, I mean, there's just a lot of things I don't like about it. I'll give my points, and then I'll let Martin give his points about Psycho Circus. You know, it really wasn't a band effort. They went back to that thing about, let's just put the brand Kiss on it, and then, you know, we'll throw a Peter vocal in there, we'll throw an Ace song in there, but really they had all these session musicians. It was produced by Bruce Fairbairn, who he worked with Bon Jovi. He actually worked with Yes on The Ladder, and actually unfortunately passed away just after this album came out while he was working on The Ladder. And I think John Anderson actually found his body. I think he had an aneurysm or a heart attack or something like this. In an unfortunate way, but he produced this album. The songs that, like, if I talk about the things I like about it, it's probably a lot easier than go through the things I don't like about it. I like the title track. I like Into the Void a lot. Ace has a really cool song on it. That's the only song that all 4 guys actually play on, is Into the Void. And I think that was because Bruce Fairbairn was a Kiss fan and said, like, man, like, we need one song. Like, come on, like, let's get the whole band together and get in the studio. And it's the only song Peter drums on. They gave Paul wrote this song, I Finally Found My Way, for Peter, which is kind of like a ballad like Beth. They were really, really reaching for that Destroyer magic, that Destroyer fairy dust on this one, and I just kind of think they were reaching a little bit too much, because like it just doesn't work for me on a lot of levels. There's a lot of songs on this. Within is all right. It's pretty heavy. When I was a kid, the other Kiss song that kind of has all 4 of them on in one way is You Wanted the Best. They didn't all play on it, but they all have a verse on it. They all sing on it, which is kind of gimmicky. And as a kid, I think I liked it. Today, it's kind of cheesy, you know, but I remember hearing that one on the radio, actually, when it came out. Interestingly, this album has a couple of good reviews. Rolling Stone gave it a good review and said it was better than anything they had done without makeup in the 80s, which I think is just blows me away that anybody even believes that. Entertainment Weekly gave it an A, right? So it was really one of those things that I think the media got swept up in all the commercial success of the Kiss reunion tour, and I think that's kind of what propelled this album to get those type of reviews. So if you look into it, it has some good reviews, but for me, there's just a lot of misses on this. I think it's very inconsistent. I don't think it's anywhere near Destroyer. It tries to reach like a radio program. It has the ballad and it has the heavy song. It has the title track I like, Into the Void I like. That's about it, really. I could go on and on and on about this album, but let me throw it to Martin and get his 2 cents about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you say there, and I think all the bad vibes around it, and all the drama of like who's playing, who's not playing, and as that came out through the years even more, made people increasingly angry about it, that it should have been better, that it wasn't. This is the one where you kind of go, it says 1998. You should have done a good job on this. It's all the guys together. Bruce Fairbairn is producing, and I don't think it's a great production job. I think the drums sound kind of blocky and stiff throughout the whole thing. And as you say, it's not Peter throughout here. It's Kevin Valentine, right? But Kiss has never been one to feature the drums anyways. They kind of want them simple all the time. I really think they kneecapped Eric Carr in a big way all that time. So you're not getting that. You are getting these great vocalists, and the one good thing about it is we do get an Ace vocal, we do get a Peter vocal, although that is a horrible ballad. I hate that song a lot. But here's the problem. I really think everything they did right, or all the philosophy of this record, all of kind of the bases they wanted to cover are kind of like failed bases. There's my copy of it there. I got that fully signed over the years, and there's a fully signed Revenge, because I'm showing you Revenge because I think Revenge is the successful version of this. Carnival of Souls, I love Carnival of Souls, but obviously, as you said, it's a whole different kettle of fish. It's a different record, and I think it is a hardcore fans album that they like a lot. I love this album. I think this is the best thing they did since Asylum. When it comes to picking the worst, I would have maybe gone to something like Unmasked as well. But again, this is them just trying something different, and there's a nostalgic factor that it's a long time ago. I also have always been kind of a non-fan of Hot in the Shade and Crazy Nights. That period right there, I really don't like. I'm an exaggeratedly high fan of Asylum. I've noticed that a lot of Kiss fans are not big Asylum fans. And I love the excitement around the trio, Creatures, Lick It Up, Animalize, that kind of heavy, exciting, early rediscovery period for the band. So, as I look at the catalog, I'm always very impressed that I actually like most of these albums quite a lot. There's not a lot of Kiss albums I don't like, but this was just, everything about this was bad vibes, and I think it's a fail in a lot of ways. I think Psycho Circus, the opening track, first of all, the title is dumb. Kiss is the least psycho band in the world. If they're a circus, they're like a kiddie circus. It's a safe circus, right? So there's nothing psycho about Kiss, right? There never was, right? So I don't like that whole thing. I just forget that title all the time because there's too many psycho everything all over the place in pop culture. It's just a really boring word now, right? But I think that song is okay. It's a good opener. And it's got a little bit of majesty and epicness to it. I think everything falls down with Within. I consider that one of these, I call them Gene Simmons bass fart songs, right? It just sounds like, Gene doing this, adjusting his butt as he plays his bass, right? But I just, as soon as that verse kicks in, like the whole album just deflates for me. It's just like, oh my God, what are they doing? And I'm no longer trusting that they know what they're doing, right? So I've lost confidence in the band. As soon as that is the second song in the album and that verse comes in, da, 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 da. It's like it's over for me. Like I've tuned out, right? But of course, as a big fan, I don't tune out. I go on, right? I think the Ace song is pretty cool, Into the Void. I Pledge Allegiance to the State of Rock and Roll is a pretty good song. And I think Ace complains that he wrote a song similar. And then he's implying that this is kind of like, well, this, my song could have gone on. It's kind of the same, you know. I really don't like We Are One. I find that the humor, we're not kind of laughing with them on this album. We're laughing a little bit at them. We're saying, oh, Kiss, you're kind of stupid, right? But on Revenge, they do all the same sorts of things, but we're laughing with them because it's tongue in cheek. They know they're in on the joke. They're part of it, right? They're part of, Paul being this prima donna peacock and Gene and his whole life philosophy and everything on there is just like a good time, and you are cheering them on Revenge all through that whole record. It's such a great record, so well done, right? Went gold as well, which was good to see, in grunge times, 1992, right? But yeah, You Wanted the Best is not bad, but to me, it's like a redo of Kickstart My Heart. And I agree that that's a little bit of a gimmick with all the guys saying this stuff. Although it's interesting what they're saying, they're kind of making fun of themselves a little bit, right? They're making fun of the arguing that they have between them, right? But, in a way, it's a little bit airing dirty laundry, but it's done in a mature way. The unairing of the dirty laundry and the hiding of who is writing these songs and playing on them and stuff, that's what Kiss fans resent. And that's why there's kind of bad vibes about this. And it should have been better. Raise Your Glasses to me is like bad hair metal Alice Cooper time. The ballad is just so bad. I finally found my way. Dreamin', kind of like they're in that little faux Beatles psychedelic thing that they do once in a while. There's quite a bit of that on Carnival of Souls, right? And then Journey of a Thousand Years, even though it's a ballad, it's kind of like proggy and a little bit creative and a little bit interesting. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, do you know the story about that one?
No, tell me.
Do you know that they were sued by Alice Cooper's management, or
Really?
they're sued by Alice Cooper's record company because it sounds a lot like I'm 18? Did you know that?
Oh wow, I'm gonna have to go play that again.
Go back and listen to it. You hear the
I love comparing songs like that.
It has that kind of hook to it. Go back and listen to them.
Yeah,
I don't think Alice Cooper and Kiss had anything to do with that lawsuit, but it was more like Alice Cooper's record company. But anyway, sorry.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah, so there you go. And the other problem is what we just went through. It's only 10 songs. It's 10 songs in the CD age. It's 10 not very long songs. So, I think the fans, or at least myself, will pick this as the worst album because it absolutely should have been better with all the things at their disposal, including outside songwriters, including the four guys together, including the high stakes coming off of the reunion tour. Everybody sort of thinks it should have been better, and it shows Kiss stumbling. And usually, we're cheering Kiss on and we're confident in their abilities to do whatever it is they're doing at any point in time, because most of the time it's a triumph. It's a pretty cool thing that they do. They come back strong. They do something a little different. They're a little bit in the trends all along the way, but it's generally it's a pretty good job at it. There's good songwriting. I always love hearing all four of these guys sing. I think that's one of the cool secret weapons of Kiss, is that everybody has a good voice. They're not all great singers. I mean, really, it's only Ace maybe that he can be a little inaccurate with his voice, but they all have great voices. That's the cool thing about Kiss. One of my favorite things. So yeah, 10 songs, most of them not very good. It feels like they're just playing by numbers, but they're playing it safe. They're checking off boxes, and everything's kind of just like a little bit of a letdown. The production is a little hard on the ears. It's just a little humorless. The bass, the drums are sort of like I say, a little awkward and boxy and stiff throughout the whole album. They're a little loud, actually. With Kiss, they often don't have the drums very loud. That's the other thing. So they're loud, but there's just, it's not grooving at all. So yeah, for all these reasons, I think I think I'm in total agreement that I would pick this as the worst Kiss album, because it is the one that it's the easiest to be angry about. That's really it. That's really it. It's the one where I feel like I'm not cheering them on. I'm saying you guys are screwing up here. This should have been way better. So yeah. And I guess I'll throw to you first. What do you want to give this out of 10?
Well, it's for me, it's really disappointing. I guess it brought me a lot of joy as a kid.
Mhm.
So maybe I don't know. I think it's just really disappointing. I mean, they had a motivated Ace on this album. He wrote a bunch of songs and then he hardly even played on it. He
Hmm.
wrote a good song actually that ended up on a Beast. It was a Beast song to a CD single of Psycho Circus called In Your Face. Like that should have been on the album because that was
Hmm.
a great song too, right? A great Ace song. But anyways, I would probably give it something very, very low. I would give it maybe a 2 out of 10.
You
I
want to
was
go?
almost going to change it. We had talked about this before. Just thinking about how much I had all the toys, the Psycho Circus toys. I had like this was for me. Like this was the album for me when I was a kid, you know. But I give it a 2. I was almost going to change it to a 3, but I'll give it a
Yeah,
2.
yeah. I think I'm going to be a little more generous and give it a 4. Like I say, I mean, every song, pretty much every song is something of a fail, but almost, I would say three quarters of it, those songs that I like, those three-quarter songs are kind of like fives to me. So overall, I think I would give or even sixes for a lot of those songs. But I think overall, I would give it a 4. It's just too short. There are some things I really hate on it, and nothing, absolutely nothing, really stands out as a classic where I'm just like shaking my fist and singing along to. So nothing rises above that sort of 6.5, 7 range to me, even at the very high end of it. So yeah, here on Contrarians Worst Album Edition, I will go 4 on this, and I guess that means, like we always do, tradition, we average it out, and we are giving this record a 3
We're at a
out
3.
of
Yeah,
3 out of 10.
I love Asylum. I just wanted to mention that before we go
Cool,
off. Like
good,
I love Asylum. That's probably my favorite 80s Kiss album is Asylum. There's a
cool,
lot of great
excellent.
tracks on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, you know, it's there's just a lot of things wrong with it, and I could really go on and on and on, but I guess we'll just kind of leave it there unless there was any last points that you wanted to make.
I don't think so. I'm interested to hear what people think. I mean, I love this whole idea of almost like we should have a contrarian statistician who adds up sort of the results of seeing some of this stuff. I would really like to know what sort of the democratic answer is to what is the worst Kiss album, and what is the best. I mean, you guys did Hotter Than Hell, and I think for me it would be Destroyer, and I think a lot of people would go with Destroyer. There are a few different choices along the way. But worst album, I'm not sure what people would pick. So we're really interested to see your comments below. Let us know what you think. And once there are sufficient comments there on this, Marco, probably you would be best. You are a great Kiss expert. I mean, you would be best to do a feedback episode on this. And just go through, because we do like this idea now. We're doing this a little more often now of going through and reading people's comments, because Kiss fans are very vocal. They're kind of like Zeppelin fans and Van Halen fans, and there's a few, but Kiss fans, and a lot of them are super experts on the band, right?
Yeah,
So
don't get mad at
yeah.
me. I really supported this album when it came out. So
Yeah. So yeah, so I mean, I can imagine we're going to be in for some abuse, because that's just the nature of this version of the show that we do. The Worst Album Show brings out the worst in people,
yeah,
right? Because
you
we're
know what?
complaining, right? So that's the thing. So
Like one last thing about it, it's like all those other albums that we kind of mentioned, even Hot in the Shade and Crazy Nights, like those are albums that I actually kind of enjoy going back and digging into them again and being like, here, is there any more hidden gems that I kind of missed? This is the one album I hardly ever go back to, ever,
yeah,
for any reason. Like I heard it, I'm done with it. It's lock it in the closet, put it away.
yeah,
Um, I
cool,
don't need to hear it again. Even the
yeah,
two new albums have a lot more integrity, Monster and Sonic Boom.
yeah.
But
Oh
anyways,
yeah, yeah, for
so I
sure.
guess that's the end of our conversation. Um, Worst album edition. Let us know. Why don't you folks at home rank the album in the comments as well? Give us your number out of 10, because I'd like to hear what you have to think about it and what you would rate the album. We've gone through this amazing journey with the Contrarians. We're 3 years on. We started in 2018, and we're over 1,000 subscriptions now. And I just want to thank everybody. That's a huge milestone for us, and it's just amazing. All of like our views keep going up and our subscriptions, and just want to thank everybody. And we love music. You love music. Tell us why you love music. Tell us why we're boneheads for picking this album or not picking Hot in the Shade or Crazy Nights or whatever, or Unmasked. But we want to hear from you in the comment section. And if you like what you see, subscribe, like our shows, and continue watching, continue being a fan of music. And we hope to do this for a long time.
Absolutely. Talk to you later.